Why do some women choose to live alone, without a man? For centuries, society has told us they must be lonely, unhappy, or incomplete. But what if that's the biggest myth of all? What if these women are living with more strength, wisdom, and freedom than anyone realizes? Carl Gustav Jung, one of the greatest psychologists of the 20th century, believed that solitude can unlock the deepest layers of the human soul. Today, we'll explore the psychology, philosophy, and hidden power behind women who live independently, and why their choice to stand alone is not weakness, but one of the highest forms of strength. Part 1. The weight of society's expectations. From childhood, most women are taught a simple script: grow up, marry, have children, and stay within the safety of a man's presence. Society glorifies companionship but often views solitude with suspicion. If a woman remains single past a certain age, she is labeled as unlucky, or worse, defective. Families ask, why hasn't she married yet? Friends wonder, is she too picky? And strangers assume, she must be sad and lonely. But psychology, especially Jung's, teaches us that what appears on the surface is rarely the full truth. Sometimes, what society calls loneliness is actually freedom. And what society calls failure is in fact the beginning of individuation, the journey to become one's truest self. Part 2. Jung's core idea, individuation. Carl Jung believed that the ultimate purpose of life is individuation. This means discovering and becoming the deepest, most authentic version of yourself. For many women, living alone provides the perfect environment for this. Without constant social demands, without having to adjust themselves to a partner's needs, they finally have space to explore. Who am I without roles? What do I truly value? What do I want my life to mean? This journey inward often creates a stronger, wiser, more resilient woman. Jung warned against living only for society's approval, because that leads to the false self. Women who live alone are often those who dare to break away from this pattern, choosing truth over conformity. Part 3. The persona and the mask. Jung also described the concept of the person, the social mask we wear to fit in. Many women in relationships feel pressured to play roles: the perfect wife, the gentle caretaker, the agreeable partner. But solitude allows the mask to drop. A woman living alone does not have to perform for anyone. She can discover her real face beneath the persona. This is not a loss, it is a liberation. And it often results in women who are more authentic, confident, and self-aware than those still living inside society's scripts. Part 4. Balancing inner energies, anima and animus. Jung also introduced the concepts of anima and animus, the feminine and masculine energies that live within all of us. When a woman lives alone, she is often forced to activate both sides. She nurtures herself, providing warmth and emotional care, but she also becomes her own protector, decision-maker, and provider. She learns to balance softness with strength, empathy with logic, care with independence. This balance, Jung argued, is the path to wholeness. In fact, he would say that a woman who develops both her anima and animus is far more complete than someone who remains dependent on another for those energies. Part 5. Why modern women choose independence. In the past, living alone was nearly impossible for most women. Economic dependence tied them to men. But today, Many women have financial independence, education, and opportunities to shape their own futures. This freedom allows them to make choices based not on survival, but on desire. Some women choose relationships, but others choose solitude, not because they fear intimacy, but because they value peace, creativity, and personal growth. Many find that their careers, passions, and inner journeys flourish when they are not bound by the compromises of constant companionship. Their independence is not a rejection of men, it is an affirmation of themselves. Part 6. Examples from History and Philosophy. History is filled with women who embraced solitude and left behind great legacies. Emily Dickinson, the poet, lived much of her life in seclusion, yet her writings still speak to millions today about the depth of the soul. Virginia Woolf spoke of the need for a room of one's own, a private space where a woman could think and create freely. Simone de Beauvoir, philosopher and writer, argued that true freedom requires independence, even if society resists it. Each of these women echoed Jung's insight: solitude, when chosen consciously, is not emptiness but empowerment. Even spiritual traditions reflect this truth. Mystics, monks, and saints often withdrew from society to find clarity and peace. Why should a modern woman's solitude be seen as any less sacred? Part 7. Solitude versus loneliness. It is important to separate solitude from loneliness. Loneliness is the pain of being disconnected. Solitude is the strength of being connected, but to yourself. A woman who lives alone, yet feels whole within, experiences solitude, not loneliness. She is not waiting for someone to complete her. She is already complete. Carl Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself." This is why many women who live alone often find themselves surrounded by more meaningful friendships, communities, and spiritual connections, because they are no longer chasing approval, but sharing from a place of wholeness. Part 8. The shadow work of solitude. Of course, living alone is not always easy. Jung emphasized the importance of shadow work, confronting the hidden parts of ourselves that we often deny. When a woman is alone, she cannot distract herself with constant social noise. She must face her thoughts, her fears, her insecurities. But here is the secret: this is where transformation happens. By confronting the shadow, by accepting it and integrating it, she becomes stronger than ever. Instead of fearing her darkness, she learns to use it as fuel for wisdom and creativity. Part 9. The spiritual awakening of solitude. Living alone can also awaken a deeper spiritual dimension. Silence allows the unconscious to rise to the surface. Meditation, journaling, creative expression, all of these flourish in solitude. Many women report finding not just strength, but a sense of sacred connection to life itself when they live independently. Carl Jung himself believed that solitude was essential for contacting the self, the deepest, most divine aspect of our being. He wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." For many women, solitude is that privilege. Part 10. Final message: power and independence. So what is the truth about women who live alone without a man? The truth is this: They are not broken, not incomplete, not lonely. They are women who have chosen the courage of solitude over the comfort of conformity. They are walking the path of individuation, peeling away society's masks, integrating their shadow, and balancing their inner energies. They are living proof that strength does not always roar in crowds. Sometimes, it whispers in silence. Carl Jung taught us that those who turn inward awaken to life's deepest truths. For many women, choosing solitude is not the end of their story, it is the beginning of becoming fully alive. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect. What role does solitude play in your own life? Do you fear it, or do you embrace it? Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more wisdom from psychology, philosophy, and the human spirit. And remember, true power is not found in always being surrounded, but in learning to stand strong, even when standing alone.